Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to my mini-series on SummerWeen, where we take a look at the classic horror films that spawn successful franchises. And so tonight we're taking a look at another holiday-themed movie, kinda, Friday the 13th, who everyone knows for this guy here. But if you're looking to see the origins of Jason Vorhees, you might be a bit disappointed with this movie. Nonetheless though, let's take a look at what spawned a series. The film starts in 1958, where campers sing songs with a guitar. Oh lord, it's Jesus Camp! Two camp counselors stare each other down like a couple of horny horn dogs, and a familiar technique of a mysterious killer hidden behind a point of view shot stalks them before coming in for the kill. 80s freeze frame! Ha! Dated. This does give us an epic main title, as well as a soundtrack that sounds stupidly similar to the movie Psycho. There's tribute, and then there's stealing. As generic as the soundtrack for the film can be, it does have this iconic sound. Oh, that's nice. It's like an echoed whisper that not only is unique, but identifies itself easily with the series. You quickly notice it clues us in for all the voyeuristic moments and scenes with danger, making us associate that sound with suspense. It's a brilliant device. In the modern day of 1980, a girl named Annie passes through the town near Camp Crystal Lake, where it's planned to reopen the campground for kids.
You speak English? How far is it to Camp Crystal Lake?
I don't know. I'm just a dog. Are you schizophrenic, lady?
Okie dokie. See you later.
The town sure seems unsettled by the mere mention of the camp, which they warn her the townsfolk refer to as Camp Blood, and that a series of disasters have stricken the grounds, starting with a drowning in 57, murders in 58, fires, and poisoned water in 62. Gosh, it sure sounds like a cursed place. I mean, all we're missing is the old man spouting warnings.
It's got a death curse!
There we go.
You'll never come back again.
Oh, shut up, Ralph.
It's a nice setup to the setting's history, but it sure doesn't stop the determined optimism of this young woman to hitchhike a ride into the camp. Unfortunately for her, her ride happens to be our mysterious killer behind the point of view shot. A brief chase in the woods ends with her throat sliced right open. By the way, the makeup work is done by Tom Savini, who's a horror movie special effects extraordinaire. Famous for his work in Dawn of the Dead and etc., based on the bare-bones structure of that scene, his work is gonna add any degree of credibility to this flick. We then meet the rest of the camp counselors who had arrived 2 weeks before the campers to help refurbish the cabins and set up. These characters include Dickhead Jokester, whose humor has not aged well, and almost killed this girl for a cheap jump scare. Let's see, horny teens, douchebags, and a young Kevin Bacon. Baby Bacon. There's Alice, who draws, and that doesn't lead to anything, and their boss, Steve, who wears an ascot, short shorts, a pedal stash, and gives a bad touch. And now that you're all caught up, the rest of the film is filler. And I mean the scenes that are pointless, go on for too long, or have practically nothing relevant happening. Examples include the character swimming while the killer is watching, so that's kind of spooky. Making coffee, that's literally it. There's a snake in the cabin, and they actually chopped a snake in half on set. Hello, PETA. They work on the generator, they play strip Monopoly, a cop shows up looking for the old kook from before.
We ain't gonna stand for no weirdness out here.
Yeah, LOL, that was a terrible line. And later they find the old man standing in the pantry.
I'm a messenger of God. You're doomed if you stay here. You're all doomed.
Well, that happened.
Finally, as a storm approaches that night, our characters go off to make out, do their own thing, and one way or another fall like flies.
The rain turns to blood.
Oh, there's some foreshadowing there, don't you know?
Not bad enough to have Friday the 13th. We've got to have a full moon, too. More homicides, more of everything when there's a full moon. Makes them nuts.
They make a science out of coincidence.
This is our only tie-in as to why it occurs on Friday the 13th. It's intriguing, but it's not explored any further. Baby Bacon and his girlfriend have sex, and when she leaves, he gets an arrow right in the neck. Was the killer just waiting underneath the entire time while they made love? Ugh, that's grosser than the special effects. This chick gets an axe to the face. Jerkface follows a figure in a cabin and is found dead in a revealing tilt-up shot. This other chick is blinded by floodlights in front of the archery targets. We don't see anything, but you can well imagine. And Steve, who we see at a diner, has his car break down, gets picked up by a cop, and then leaves because he got some call we know nothing about, and then shows up blinded by a flashlight and then stabbed. Speaking of unnecessary scenes, This leaves only Alice left, who takes a while to realize no one else is around. Similar to Laurie Strode from Halloween, she goes to check on her friends only to be slammed with a haunted house ride of scares, finding each of them in compromising situations. Some of these kills admittingly are superior to Halloween, but minus the killer's motivations. After one of her friend's corpse is thrown through the window, she flees and tries tying a rope around the door handle, assuming there's no lock. You know, that's actually not a bad idea, using camping and survival skills to outwit the killer. And, oh well, never mind, I guess. She then encounters a brand new character, the sweet and tender Mrs. Vorhees. So she's being introduced towards the end of the film, which means she's either another disappointing death, or she's the mysterious killer. Which, considering the fact that she's played by famous actress Betsy Palmer, I doubt that she's playing a bit part.
Did you know that a young boy drowned the year before those 2 others were killed?
Yeah, you remember that throwaway line about a drowning kid? She's his mom. And that was enough motivation to commit years of murder to keep the camp closed. We all need a purpose in life, I guess. The weirdest part is that the entire movie she goes full-blown psychopath on everyone and even keeps silent. But for Alice, she acts all innocent? It's my theory that she was trying to keep one survivor to help spread the story of the murders and perpetuate the camp's closure. Which would have worked if her mind didn't break and start hunting her down as well. But oh well. But this burly killer who stabs everyone else now resorts to slapping is just plain comical.
Kill her, Mommy. Kill her.
Okay, that's an effective scary line. It's a long chase scene between the 2 cabins, and we spend some time locked in a pantry, which I admit is suspenseful, waiting and listening for Mrs. Voorhees, looking for her on the other side of the door. And the conflict ends with a legit brutal fight complete with rolling in the dirt, biting, slamming heads into the sand, but it all comes down to a satisfying decapitation. I don't think the hands would be able to make that motion, but it's delightfully unnerving. So, up until this point, the movie's been fairly predictable. The story structure's been jumbled, the writing, dumb. It's been okay, it's no classic, but, how does it end? Alice waits out the night in the canoe, safe in the middle of the lake, till the police show up the next morning. Looks like everything's gonna be just fine. Okay. Alice wakes up in the hospital asking about the boy, Jason. The police didn't find him, so this makes Alice unsure if her encounter was a dream, or if this realization suggests that Jason's ghost still resides at Camp Crystal Lake. So did the ending just save the entire movie? Yeah. In watching this film again in modern times, I didn't get it. It's bare bones and generic as far as the horror films go, especially for back then. But the Mrs. Voorhees encounter was interesting. But it's that final scare that made the movie memorable. Hot damn. Even the last shot of the lake feels like it should have put a big ol' end? This is a unique situation where the first Halloween movie was so good on its own, it spawned sequels that couldn't live up to it. This film, on the other hand, had enough success to justify sequels that gradually built up the series' legacy, including its main character, Jason, who would take center stage going forth. I'm not gonna lie, guys, that wasn't great, but that ending, whew, totally worth it. But now it's that time to break down any and all scary bits. I found my attention was held the most in the beginning seeing the townsfolk reaction to Camp Crystal Lake. Based on the looks on their faces, you know there's a story to tell. Even the vague references to the disasters only add to the credibility of this location being dangerous. Ralph, albeit a silly representation, did add to the setup, although I can't help but feel there was a lot of missed opportunities. Especially with this being a campground, why aren't there stories around the fire? Urban legends. They mentioned Jason drowning in 57. They could have established his death being the first of many bad events, and they all occurred on Friday the 13th, which, as you notice, the title plays little to no part in the story. What if they established Jason as a vengeful spirit who killed campers, and so all the disasters and the curse is blamed on him? And so it would be a legit surprise to find out that it's his mom all along. And a second surprise to realize he actually exists in some supernatural way. This is better established in the sequel, but it makes for an incohesive first installment. For a movie filled with scenes going nowhere, I'm shocked how little the story is established. Nonetheless, what little we got in the beginning was a clear strength of the movie. Let's face it, for how dull a lot of these scenes are, seeing these deaths are the parts a lot of audience members look forward to the most. Savini did a great job, especially for the budget. Before high definition, I couldn't tell for the longest time where Kevin Bacon's face ended and where the prosthetic body began. Even the arrow death felt like an upgrade to Halloween's knife death. Yeah, at least in brutality. These kills would only get better in the sequels, and you know it's a job well done when the MPAA would insist on cutting scenes where the makeup was too convincing. This idea was better executed in films like Halloween, but it was applied similarly to give us a surprise ending. The identity of the killer was hidden behind the camera, which makes for a mystery as well as keeping our imaginations active. First off, they got a legit established actress, which gives weight to the character's presence, and looking so sweet and normal makes her psychotic behavior all the more jarring. She becomes unpredictable with her homage to The Shining, which came out the same year. Her multiple personality embodying her deceased son adds a creep factor similar to Norman Bates in Psycho, but swapping the son with the mom's personality to the mom with the son's personality. The slapping was silly, but the decapitation was excellent. This character would have been better if introduced sooner, but makes for a fantastic surprise. This is the ultimate example of a jump scare done right. Although barely mentioned, Jason is established as a main motive for the killer, albeit clumsily. We even see a flashback of him drowning. After high tension for a good 15 minutes, the film lulls us into a serene setting on the lake, morning light poking through, the police arrive. All of these are signs of safety. So when a supposed zombie boy leaps out of the water and pulls her in, it feels like a dream fiercely interrupted. This feels just like how a nightmare would work. The pacing is pitch perfect. And that's the tale of one movie who thought they could, and somehow did. Thank you all for watching. Now join me next time for my SummerWeen series when I look at another classic horror movie that spawned a series. So, have a good evening and pleasant dreams, ladies and... Wait, what's that sound? Wait, who are you?